This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
I'm going on record right now, I've never had a harebrained idea.
He's had lots of ideas that have hair on them.
Did you just say I've had lots of ideas with hair on them?
Yes. Okay.
Oh my goodness. What?
The devil?
I found him.
Why am I not surprised that he's in here?
He's over here in this bucket. There he is. Mr. Sin! Not bothering us anymore.
How are you doing there, Foxy?
Such a beef wit.
Do you know who you're talking to? I'm Mr. Sin. You can't talk to me like that. You don't have to be rude.
I said beef wit.
Beef wit, that's even worse. No, I'm not a fan of that, but I am a fan of finding out what you're doing after this show. Maybe we could go grab some drinks or something. What do you say?
No thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Chris Behnke. I'm here with Prudence O'Hare and Jan Schaffner, and we're going to be digging into a topic that I think is just, I think for a long time has been growing rapidly. And I feel like in a lot of ways it's just exploding. And that is called the New Age movement, really what it is. I think people stick labels on things they don't understand all the time, like, oh, that's New Age. So we're going to really be talking about what that is and talking about the New Age movement and so forth. But before we do that, I need to know, what is your favorite family tradition?
A family tradition growing up?
Favorite? Oh, I don't know. Growing up, now. One that you haven't started yet, but it's going to be your favorite. I don't care. Your favorite family tradition.
Family tradition. You know, there was something super fun that we used to do when I was a kid, and they used to have this thing called the Christmas boats on
in Portland.
I think it was the Willamette.
It was the Willamette.
Yeah, and so my mom would find out like which day and what time they started, and we would drive down there to the riverside and wait for them to come by.
And they put all the Christmas lights on.
Yes, so boats would put Christmas lights on their boats, and then they would all get in a line, and it was like a parade on the water. Awesome. So it was pretty fun. I remember that one.
That was cool. Yeah. My favorite thing that we did a lot growing up was my dad would make waffles or pancakes on Saturdays. I think that's kind of I think a lot of dads do that. I'm not 100% sure, but I really enjoyed that, actually. That's the first thing that popped into my head when I read this question. What do you got, Jan?
One of the new traditions, which everything is new in my life, right?
Yeah.
So over these last 5 years or so, we felt as a family to use Christmas Eve and part of even Christmas Day morning to prophesy and to give a word over them, kind of like what we just talked about before about Robert did for Adam, was prophesying destiny. Prophesying what you see in them and calling out the gold, you know? So I've kind of taken that on, and so everybody loves it now, and it's really fun. And so, we do it along with a little gift, the prophetic gift with it. And so everybody loves it.
That's super neat. Cool. That's really cool. That sounds cooler than pancakes.
I don't know. The pancakes sound pretty good.
Yeah, pancakes are good. Pancakes are super good. Okay. We got to get into the trivia. It's animal trivia. And so we've had Jan on before, and every single time she completely destroys you at this game. So I need
Stop
you.
telling
I need
fallacies.
you. I need you, Prudence. I need you to win one for the team. Okay, you ready? Are you guys ready? Okay. This is animal trivia. What is a male swan called? A male swan.
A swan, sir?
Is that your final answer? Jan's gonna make a guess. Or she might know. Actually, she might.
I like totally.
It's
blanked out.
probably something like a rooster.
It's not a swanster or a rooster. It's a cob.
A cob.
A cob.
Oh, I would have never
I would have
guessed
never. I would
that.
not have gotten.
I'm
that.
getting. That's just too hard. I'm giving you both a cheer. Because that
yeah,
question
that
is
was too hard.
Okay, which large mammal has a tail so strong it can stand on it and lift its hind legs off the ground?
Say that again. The what?
Which mammal? It's a large mammal. It's not like large. It's not like elephant large, but it's just like a large mammal. What large mammal has a tail so strong it can stand on it and lift its hind legs off the ground?
It's a kangaroo.
Okay, we got a kangaroo.
I say that too.
Yeah, kangaroo. Kangaroo is 100% correct. Nice job. You guys both get 100 points for that. Okay, what do you call a group of crows? I think you know this, Prudence. A group of crows.
Cronies?
Cronies. Okay.
It sounds like a good name for
Obviously,
them.
it's not a flock, right?
It's not a flock. It's not a flock, and it's not a cronies. However, it should be cronies. It actually,
I like
if
that
we're
better.
being real, it should be cronies. It's not. It's called a murder.
A murder?
I think you knew this. I think this is another one. I feel like you told me
Probably.
this. Maybe Maggie told me this. But a group of crows is called a murder. However, I feel like officially, as of right now, Together We Build as a show is officially changing this globally to cronies. It's no longer a murder. It's now cronies. Thank you, Prudence, for doing that. Okay, very last one. What is the fastest sea animal?
Fastest sea.
This one's too hard. You're not going to get this, but I want you to try anyway. Fastest sea.
Is it a fish of some sort?
Yes.
Fastest.
See, I would. There's no way I would get it.
Not like a piranha.
No.
Or a,
We don't
Piranha's a good
know,
guess.
Chris.
So I would have said some kind of shark or something.
Yeah.
But it's a sailfish. Now, does anyone even know what a sailfish is? I mean, I don't know what a sailfish is. I've never even heard of a sailfish. So I'm giving us all a cheer for that because none of us could have got that one. So once again, you guys have both scored 100%. Nice job. And that's it for trivia for today. So now I think I wanted to get through the trivia quicker than normal because I feel like we're going to need every moment we have left in this podcast to talk about this topic of New Age.
Ugh, what a giant topic that is.
What a giant topic.
Huh?
That's a big,
I think
one.
so. When I think of New Age, I think of two separate things. One is I think of a label that people give everything that's spiritual that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think of is that Seinfeld episode where Jerry was trying to figure out what he wrote down in his dream, and George was having some kind of a problem.
He was like a new age
Yeah,
healer.
he was a healer. And I immediately think of that. But we've got Jan. We've got Jan here, and she is gonna, set the foundation.
When I
for
think
us.
of new age, I think of a lot of confusion. Like immediately, just the word confusion just comes to mind because it is such a tangled amount of stuff that is just like
Exactly. You're so right, Alice, and both of you, because really it's nothing new.
Yeah.
New Age is nothing new. It's actually repackaged and rebranded occultism.
Yeah.
Is all it is.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that's big because we're talking witchcraft, occult, choosing other deities besides God. And the first commandment gets broken immediately because if you start even exploring other deities as a possibility, God says, don't touch sorcery. And it has a lot of commandments in the word. If you study it, don't go there, even just to check it out.
Yeah.
Searching for truth, people can get hijacked pretty easily because the enemy is so deceiving, And so it's about choosing any road to God. What the New Age is saying, you're going to get to God. It's just another God.
right.
Okay, so it's not the God, it's another God. So what they say is choose it on the smorgasbord of Muhammad or any kind of deity that's out there that's attached to any of the pagan cultures.
Yeah.
Is actually it's like a pagan deity that's right directly under Satan. Okay, so even like, for instance, I know some people that were exploring because they found the 4 agreements, which just sounds really good because it's like a business thing, and we used to have that blasted at us at the state when I was managing, because they would have everything new run through the New Age system, you know.
Oh, wow.
So they would say the 4 agreements, you know, one of the first one is be impeccable with your word, which that sounds like a good one, right? But what their definition of the different words within those statements is, like, impeccable means sinless. And what it does is it takes you to another belief system. So the book, The 4 Agreements, and I would not recommend reading it, by the way. Don't read it. But some people that I know have, and they walked away going, this thing like's changing my life. This is like opening me up to this whole new thing.
And this book you're talking about, this was something that you were...
No. The 4 Agreements is a book that's out there you can get,
yes,
which came out in the 90s. And I was like managing people in the late 90s and into the 2000s. And so a lot of this new information was coming out then.
Okay.
And the state of Oregon was saying, this is good. You should read this. This is what everybody should be doing, these 4 agreements. The problem is when you make an agreement with the belief system that's behind the book, which is actually a deity that they say in the beginning, it's the Toltec belief system that came from the Aztecs in, I guess, South America, right?
Yes.
So it was a deity, it was a god, it was a pagan god that actually they had a higher level of civilization and accomplished a lot through that civilization, but they had a pagan god and they had these beliefs. So this person that wrote the book had done the research from the people that were the ancestors of this, and gotten these beliefs, right? So he wrote a book, but he was a total New Age, 100% New Age, like shaman guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he then had this huge New Age, movement where that was going to, like, a lot of, business systems out there, state agencies and all of that, because it sounds good on the surface, but underneath it is the Toltec belief system. That's how easy people can get deceived and, taken in a different direction.
Right. Yes.
So what New Age is just like I said, it's rebranding, repackaging sorcery. Yeah. And so ultimately anything behind a New Age, when you start exploring it, they say, well, you can choose Jesus. You can choose Jesus to get to God, right? The problem is the Jesus they have in the New Age movement is not our Jesus. It's another Jesus. Yeah. It's a fake Jesus, okay? So they put the name Jesus in there to get you deceived and hook you in, like, oh, this has got to be okay then.
Feeling safe.
I can choose.
You're feeling safe.
Yeah, you're feeling safe because they even quote scripture a lot of times. And so that's the deception. It's a big hook for people, like, well, I don't want to be stuck with the legalistic system that I see and I feel and I've been harmed by it and I'm done with it and I don't like, blah, blah, blah. So you hear all these people that are frustrated with church, want to throw the whole thing out. So they're searching for truth, but they want they want God, they want a higher power.
They're searching for it.
They're searching for truth. And the New Age is right there with a lot of information and a lot of ways that you can find truth.
Right.
So that's why we're hearing so many people say, well, this is my truth.
I hate that statement.
Yes.
This is my truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is my truth. And so I've heard that so many times when people come to me and they're desperate and they're now like been devastated by something. That's exactly what the end game is for the enemy, is to destroy you. Yeah. So if you agree with him and open the occult door, you are going to be destroyed in some way.
Yeah.
So people come in a destroyed, in their place where they are, which they don't like, and they didn't realize that they had actually opened the door wide open just by exploring and checking out truth. And I'll just give you my personal example. So I grew up in Astoria, which is actually a pretty dark
Astoria, Oregon. Yes. Yes.
So-
We've been there a few times.
So now it's completely given over to New Age, all of that dark stuff, and Wicca everywhere. But when I was growing up, it was undercover dark.
Right. Yeah.
So I was just a typical 11 to 12-year-old kid, and I got involved with this group that was like, they said they were the popular kids, so they wanted me to be a part of their clique group, and so we had a brand new teacher just graduated from Oregon State, and so he was out to bust any cliques, and so he had his radar out for us. So he right away at the beginning of that year, we were meeting on during recess or whatever as a group, and we were very exclusive because nobody else could join our group because we were the, which I hate to admit that I did that, but I did. Okay. So I was, So anyways, I was not in the group that I was with weren't a really good influence on me, and I wasn't probably on them either, but we got into Ouija boards. And so we were just like, we thought it was fun, cool. We didn't think it was wrong.
Right.
And we just opened that door. And so some of these girls were more into witchcraft than I knew, way more into it. But Ouija's board was just a fun game at the time.
Right.
Later, I find out after I've had to set a bunch of people free from witchcraft because of it. But it might like my mom bought it for me. So anyway, I was doing that. But that year, at the end of that year, the year that I got busted for being in a clique and was doing Ouija boards, I got rheumatic fever. And at first they didn't know what it was, but I got so sick that I had to leave school. I had to be out of school for 6 months.
Wow.
And it was horrible. I was so sick. I threw up everything. My fever was super high. They finally diagnosed it as rheumatic fever. And I lost a lot of my eyesight in my right eye at that time because of that. So what I learned is that the Lord told me this later, and I didn't know this until later as I was getting into setting people free, that I had actually opened the occult, which I knew it even before then that the Ouija board had done that. But the backlash for me was the enemy was trying to take me out because I was so close to dying. Wow. I mean, it was a miracle that I lived.
Wow.
And he was trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And so he will do that at a young age if he knows you have a calling.
Right.
As young as possible.
Yeah.
Right. So that was that. And then I did lose my eyesight, a lot of my eyesight. And I'm almost legally blind in my right eye.
Wow.
So that's just a really hard lesson, But I know it was a direct result of me opening the door unknowingly. So I just want to say this can happen innocently. This can happen to those that are just trying to find truth and checking things out, doing research.
We're spiritual beings.
We're spiritual beings.
Automatically going to gravitate
we want
to the spiritual things.
100%. We want the supernatural.
It comes naturally.
We want the supernatural. I think every born again Christian wants the supernatural operating in their life. We have that in us. But if we're not getting a natural way to do that, like if in a church setting or whatever, people are going to search for it. Yes. And they will go dark if they have to. Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality that we're dealing with. Yeah. So the enemy does not play fair, and he doesn't look at us like, well, you were really innocent about that. You shouldn't have to suffer at all. He doesn't play that way.
No.
So that's pretty heavy.
That's super good. That's super good.
No.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that you touched on, I think is super important, is that the way that God designed us is he designed us to seek him, and we've talked about this before on other episodes with you. Actually, we're created and modeled after God, and he's a 3-part package, and we're a 3-part package. And so people are designed to seek out God, and they're going to seek him out in this kind of 3-part way. This is evidence, I think. You can go to, this is always profound little experiment. You can go to Netflix, and if you go to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or any of these digital streaming services, they're kind of cool because they all have this like way to see what's popular right now. So not what you like, not the shows you're watching or whatever. It's like what's popular right now. And I think it's country based. I'm pretty sure it's country based. So like if you're in the US and you click on this, it's like what's popular in the US right now. And every time I've ever done this, let's say there's 20 things, 80+% of them are going to have a supernatural component to them. Why is that? Why, like what's popular right now? 80% of the shows have a supernatural component. It's because God designed us with this in mind. He designed us to, and so people don't have God. They don't see God in that way, but they're looking for it. They're looking for it. And so they find it in entertainment things. They're fascinated by it. They're searching for it. And this is where the enemy loves to come in with new age kind of thinking. And that's just a label for it. It's really this non-God thinking and fill the searching that people are doing.
So, yes. And, it's interesting watching over the, hundreds of years, even just like there was a point where we were at the Salem witch trials where people were accusing people of being witches, even falsely, in a lot of cases, and killing them because of the fear that was there. Now let's turn the page to now. And we've got
witchcraft woven into every single major TV show for children.
Well, yeah. Or even just like Harry Potter, for instance. How many Christians feel that's fine?
Exactly.
It's not fine.
No, it is not.
It is obvious, blatant witchcraft.
100%.
And how could we think that's fine?
Yeah. So the point is we've arrived at the situation where people are searching.
But
and they want it.
So as you're talking about even last Sunday with how the samurai sword word, where the picture was that the Satan was putting this sword into the fire, or no, he was hammering. He was doing the hammering, and Jesus was holding the sword and turning it so we could be molded. But we're looking at a place where I think the church has been buried their heads in the sand for so long, I mean, us included, with embracing our supernatural sides.
Absolutely.
And the devil has taken it and he's run with it. And he's blown it up into all of these complete confusing spaces. But it, a lot of it works. There's power within it. Not to the extreme of God, but there's power in it, and that's why they're drawn to it.
Absolutely.
And so, but what if the devil is inadvertently setting the church up to switch gears now? We now have to come into a realization that we are supernatural beings with his power and partnership. And we have to awaken into that and understand that.
Absolutely.
Because that has to triumph over the other.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I totally 100% agree with you. I believe myself that this is a huge clashing of kingdoms right now. I mean, probably all generations have had some measure of clashing of kingdoms, but I think this is like one of the biggest ultimate clashing of kingdoms. And I believe that the church is going to arise triumphant. I do, from whatever state we've been.
Yes.
And I just know that the Lord has, he's shown me that we do overcome, and that he is training and teaching the body of Christ and those that are seeking real truth. He's giving them the truth. And he's just not letting me back down on these hard topics.
Yeah.
And he's told me for a long time that I'm to become the message and to not back down when people are whatever they do, but they don't always like it and don't agree. And they don't,
Right.
A lot of people don't really always want to take responsibility for what they would need to do to get the breakthrough. It's kind of like an apathetic thing that happens. That
Yes.
settles when they've compromised. I'll just give you a really quick. John Bevere's a great teacher on this. I would recommend him. I know he's really strong on the fear of God and all of that. But one of his teachings on killing kryptonite is awesome. So he has this little clip that he shows, and you can do a YouTube on it, where this husband and wife are sitting there, and their first anniversary, so they're celebrating their a meal, really good, nice meal. He orders, and she orders like 3 different meals, and he says, "Hey, that's a lot of food for you." She goes, "Yeah, well, I'm expecting," and he says, "Oh, we're expecting." I like, and she goes, "Yeah, I'll be here soon," and so all of a sudden, these 3 guys come and sit down at the table with them. And they give her a big hug and a kiss. And he's like, the husband's going, "What? Like, what's going on? What are you doing? Like, who are these people?" And she goes, "Well, these are my friends. These are my friends. I've had them since childhood. My boyfriend from, from grade school, my boyfriend from high school, and my boyfriend from college. That they're all here, and they're here to celebrate with us." And he said, "Wait a minute. No, we signed we're in covenant. We're married. Like, there's no other people in our marriage."
Right.
And she goes, No, I'm not giving these guys up. Nope, they've been in my life all this time. And like, well, you are the most selfish man ever. Don't you get it? No, I'm not going to give these guys up. And so this husband's sitting there going, so he just lays the law down, and she gets up and storms off. So that probably was the end of their marriage. I don't know. But she was saying, no, I'm bringing all these other lovers
right.
in to our covenant. And that's what's happening out there.
Wow.
Within the church, like all these other lovers, and God's saying, hey, but what's happened is people get so apathetic and so into, like finding their truth and checking out this isn't working over here. I'm not getting any help over here. So I'm going to go find my own truth, And so they're not putting God first. Jesus is not Lord of their life.
Right.
They have all these other high things or lovers.
Leaving their options open.
Keeping their options open. And I'm not going to give them up because they've been in my life my whole life. So that's you're just way too selfish. So I just thought that was a really good way to bring it home. Like, how often does that happen? I think it happens pretty often.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. And there's, and we're talking about like how big the scope is even of what is included with the new age.
Yeah.
And that repackaging, as you say. And it's like, man, you just sit here and talk forever on it.
Right. So what a lot of it is, it's actual sorcery, and they choose other ways to get healing. Like there's a lot of like Reiki stuff out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crystal healing. I'm not going to say that essential oils are all new age. I don't know. But it's just a lot of things like that are brought in to make for healing, to facilitate healing. Now, God said the healings of the trees are for the healing of the nation, or the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nation. So I know there's a lot of things like that are true in the Word, and there's a lot of things God gives us to facilitate healing. But a lot of what New Age does is it will say, this will get you what you need.
It makes a God out of it, right?
And they make a God out of it.
Right.
Plus, actually Reiki and yoga serve other gods. So you're
Yes.
actually, the movements and the energy and all the things they're doing are movements to summon other gods.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
so
so-
basically, I think one of the problems with the phrase New Age is it kind of seems like a very when you say something like, oh, New Age, people just automatically go, oh, it's got a title, so it's very like let me go to Barnes and Noble, get a book, tell me everything that's New Age, and it's very clear. I think one of the problems with that truth, and I don't know that there's a solution to it, is there's a lot of things that really this would encompass. And so I think a lot of times people are doing things that would be part of not following Jesus. So you could put it under a category of New Age, but they're not aware of it. Like they're not.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's innocent. I really do. And they're just wanting some help. And a friend comes along and offers them something that might help. So I think a lot of it's done out of just needing some answers, and so I don't think everybody has the intention of saying, I'm going to get into New Age. I think it sounds awesome.
Right, exactly.
I think they accidentally fall into it.
Yeah, yeah. And so because of that, right? So because of that, it's super important to understand what's really happening. Because one of the things I've seen is that New Age seems to take truth all the time, take things that God has created, and then repackage it so that it's a real thing. It's one of the reasons why a lot of this stuff, it quote unquote works, doesn't work, right? Because they're really just repackaging things that God has actually given us, but then use that repackaging to redirect away from God.
Yeah, so that was a big tactic of the enemy for quite a few years. In fact, I believe that a friend of mine had a dream about the Beatles, and so she asked me to interpret her dream. And I sometimes I hear from the Lord on stuff. But anyway, she had this dream about a bunch of Beatles that were invading. God came and smashed them. But there was more to it. So she was sending me the dream, and I was asking the Lord about it. But when she sent me the description, it came out Beatles, like Beatles, the Beatles.
The Beatles band.
Beatles when they came, the Beatles when they came to America. I was in that 6th grade thing at the time when the Beatles came to America. They invaded, and it was a strategic plan by a lot of people that knew what was needed, and it worked. Okay, so they came in as clean cut. Their songs were pretty clean. They were just like idols. We idolized them. I did. I thought they were amazing and all that. So swept the United States.
Yeah.
But what they ended up doing was people were so idolized them and their music that they were willing to do anything they said. And John Lennon said, we're more popular than Jesus. What can I say, And then he did get killed, but they were actually taking people into New Age at that time. And the 60s was a big, it was like, if you guys, I remember very well. It was huge New Age sweeping through, and it was a lot of witchcraft and occult. Okay. Yeah. So what I believe, the reason I know that God's setting us up for to raise up a huge standard of righteousness, which is coming, which I believe is going to look like revival. I 100% do. Because when things get so dark and grossly dark, like they have been, like they even were in the 60s, because I was alive as a teenager, and I know what I saw and what we went through. And I'm not going to say that now was way darker than then. I think it was dark then. It was bad. And but God's going to raise up a standard like he did in the late 60s, early 70s with the Jesus movement, which is where I got saved in 1970. And so he's going to do it again. Yeah. He's going to do it again. And so even if I don't care how dark it is, they could have said the same thing in the 30s, in Germany. Like, how much worse can it get?
Right.
And how much darker can it get into the 40s,
Right.
We had a little break in the 50s, a little. And then we went into another whole.
Yeah.
So we're just at another phase of this whole thing, but I just know that God is getting ready to raise up a huge standard of righteousness.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that, as you're saying that, I feel is so important for us to understand is in all those periods of time you just mentioned, the church took a fear standpoint and hid.
They did.
And basically, I would say this will definitely offend some people, but that's fine. Literally, in essence, rolled out the red carpet for Satan to do whatever he wants because they were absent.
Yeah.
The church was absent. So that's exactly what
So we can't do that.
Can't do
so
that.
People are this unbelievable quest for this. 18 out of the 20 things on Netflix have a supernatural component. People are searching. Satan is taking a lot of things that are supernatural, rebranding them, taking them, tweaking them, but they're actually God's truths. And the church cannot be caught hiding in the bathroom.
Exactly.
This time. We just can't do that.
So right. Yes. So, reading Eric Metaxas's book about what happened in the 30s in Germany, and all of the people that are coming out with the truth that history repeats itself. Let's not make the same mistake that they made, And so that's exactly, you're saying exactly. Saying the truth. And so, yes, so this is our time to arise and shine. That's what I believe. And so I'm helping lead a hub in Salem. That's what we call ourselves, Arise and Shine Freedom.
Yeah, it's so good.
And asking God, how can we take Reformation, these truths out to our world? As individually, we're working on that individually with our families to hold back any evil that we see. We're working and practicing and learning how to do this really well.
Yeah.
And then I would love to see this grow and grow and grow and be able to hold back the evil. But it starts with me, it starts with each one of us individually, to arise and shine, be salt and light, be the change that we want to see, and be the message,
So you mentioned Eric Metaxas' book. Which book?
Bonhoeffer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read that.
Yep. So he's talking about what happened, what Bonhoeffer went through, but he did stand for righteousness. He did get executed, right? But don't love your life unto death. And so that's kind of part of what I'm asking the Lord. Does this mean that I'm, at some point, I'm just going to lay my life down for this? And, he's not saying no.
Yeah.
So if that's what it takes, like Esther,
Right.
I'm just going to say,
Yeah. Come on.
Yep.
I feel like you got something to say, Prudence. Maybe not, but it just seemed like you did.
I think that I did. And now I don't know where it went. I've been like,
I inadvertently thwarted it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did we cover the New Age, what's happening out there, how it's just has invaded our culture, and how it's even from the 60s version of New Age has now been rebranded again and repackaged again, and now it's like for the now, what people are experiencing. And I'm just telling you, I've seen so many people broken by it.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, as we kind of begin to wrap this up, I feel like one of the things that's important is to recognize that Satan, like we've already talked about a little bit, he takes things that are good that God's created and like perverts them.
Exactly.
And so I think a lot of times people are gonna, they're gonna be like not aware. We talked about that too. But as we kind of head towards wrapping this up, Jan, how should people think, process, how do they know like the things that they're involved with? Are they safe, not safe? Like without going and hiding? Because like I was saying just a moment ago, like we cannot afford to do what the church did the last several times. We have to like be able to discern, understand the truth, not be afraid of the supernatural, not be afraid, but clearly understand, have really, really good discernment to be able to know, here's the truth. Here's what God said. I'm not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of the fact that this is a supernatural thing. And I know the difference between serving God and serving other gods. And I can clearly see that. But how do people do that? Like, what would you say to them? Because I think the mode is, for a lot of people, they hear like this episode and they're like, okay, so that all sounds a little weird to figure out. So I'm just going to throw everything away and go complete, academic with my faith. I think that's a common way,
danger,
right?
like a swinging to the other ditch.
Swing to the other side, or like it's the ditch, and the,
like in order
complete
to
craziness, and then
to be
this
safe,
ditch over
we'll just
here.
get rid of all of it.
Let's just get rid of all of it,
and then we'll know
then
we're
we
safe.
know we're safe.
Well,
kind of
the thing that I would say, two things I would say is that discernment's huge.
Yeah.
Pray for that. Pray that you will receive discernment. Do as much of a word study on that as you possibly can in the Word of God. The Word of God is your standard of truth and righteousness. But also I would say the ditch over here of grace and mercy is the opposite of the judgmental, legalistic, yucky thing that we have seen. Okay, so both of them are not they're both ditches. Okay. God is in the middle and he's saying he's a God of both. Okay. So he's grace and mercy and love, all of that amazing. And he's also a God of justice and truth and discipline. Right. And he was wanting us to come in the middle and have complete authority over all the works of darkness with no fear, being able to come boldly before the throne of grace and mercy.
Right.
And to receive everything he has for us. So I would say if anyone's like questioning like what, maybe I've gotten sucked in a little bit, take it before the Lord and just say, Lord, show me with your eyes what is going on here. Have I opened a door to potentially to witchcraft just because I was seeking truth? Show me that. Reveal it to me. Give me your discernment, and then help me understand that I have complete authority over all the works of darkness with you. Big God, little devil. He's defeated and disarmed. Jesus paid for all of that.
Yeah.
So we have to get in complete, what I would say, intimacy, oneness with the Lord, and just really learn how to sharpen our discernment skills and learn how to discern good from evil. And he's going to show you the real solid truth that's directly from Jesus, because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Yes.
So it really comes back to that. It's all about Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. Prudence, any thoughts as we're wrapping this up?
Oh, no, I am not topping that.
Yeah, I think, Jan, I appreciate the way that you have kind of broken this down and shared, part of your testimony. And I just think that we're moving into this season and are here now. We're here now. It's not coming. Like we're in it now, where discernment is critically important. There's so many things that are coming that we can't be afraid of, like new age stuff, the supernatural stuff, artificial intelligence, AI. There's so many things that in the past, if we just look at the last, few hundred years, let's say we go back 500 or 600 years to printing press. The church was terrified of the printing press and what would happen. Actually.
Absolutely.
So we just look at our history. We've not done well with technological advances or spiritual or supernatural advances that have been happening. And because of that, we've gone and hid and we've created an opportunity for Satan to just have free reign. And then people are like, why is the internet full of so much bad stuff? Because the church left. So we're stepping into this new time where it's going to speed up, not slow down. And we have to have discernment to be able to recognize truth. We have to have enough time and relationship with the Lord and time in Scripture to know it. You know, we need it to be true that my sheep know and hear my voice, what Jesus said. We need it to be true. That's only true with the investment into the relationship and the time. So we need that. And we're stepping in this time where, like, if any of the stuff that we're talking about on these episodes with Jan makes you a little nervous, that should be a red flag that you need to do more work becoming familiar with what we're talking about, because the stakes are higher than ever, and we need to be at a place where we can have a kingdom perspective so that when the people are questioning, we have answers for them that are the right answers from God. So I just appreciate the books that you've written, the study that you've done, the past episodes. We did an episode on Courts of Heaven, and we did an episode on Jan's new book and a few of her other books in the past. We'll put the links to those episodes in the show notes. You guys need to check those out. But Jan, thank you for doing that. Thank you for being on the show and spending some time with us. And, you know, as always, thank you, Prudence. For you guys, love it if you guys would go to eaglemountain.global. You can find all of the Together We Build episodes there by clicking on the TV button, as well as other amazing programming. We have a 24/7 channel. You can support this ministry by clicking on the Give button. And of course, you know, take a moment, share this out to people that need to know about it. Maybe there's something that we talked about in this episode that reminded you of a person that you know. You know, share this episode with them, and so they can hear some of the things that we've been talking about. So again, thank you so much, you guys. It's been amazing, and appreciate you as well. Let us know. Reach out, hit the contact button, tell us what you think, and we will see everyone on the next episode. See you later.
Thank you for watching Together We Build with Chris and Prudence. To learn more about this and other amazing programs, visit eaglemountain.global. To learn more about Chris and Prudence and the ministries they serve, visit chrisandprudence.com.